Okay, Waziri, first of all, tell us about the collaboration between Kenya and Israel. Exactly what's the role of Israel when it comes to irrigation in Kenya?
I think Israel has one of the best records in terms of technological development in the area of irrigation. And we are borrowing from the experience. A country that does not have as much rain as we do, a country that is a desert, but that has been able to transform its agricultural sector, its water and irrigation sector from a water-scarce country to a water surplus country. They're actually exporting water to Jordan and Palestine. They're actually irrigating and producing more food than they need for their citizens. So that is why when we thought about increasing our acreage under irrigation, that Israel will be the best partner. And so far, through Green Arava Company, they have undertaken to develop for us a model farm of 10,000 acres here. They have brought in more machines, and we are going to see the 10,000 acres done by March next year. So this is how we are partnering, through technology, through cooperation, and not just in irrigation. They are also going to support us to build our local capacity as we increase our acreage under irrigation. They're establishing, as I've said, a training institute here so that we have more Kenyans training and getting degrees and diplomas in irrigation and water engineering.
And how is this project particularly being funded?
This project is being funded jointly between us and the Israeli government. We have in the year's budget, the current financial year, about 3 billion that we are dedicating from our irrigation budget of 13 billion towards development of this. So we intend to increase this acreage, and not just in this area. We are also developing other areas in Mwea. We are developing in partnership with the Japanese government about 15,000 acres under rice. That will see us also growing another 100,000 or so tons of rice, that we will not, at the end of the day, have to import rice from outside. And when we also close the deficit that we have in maize, we import over 10 million bags every year, but through irrigation now, we will grow enough of our own maize that we do not have to import. So this is how we are looking at it in the long run. It might be expensive to start, but in the long run, it will be beneficial to the country as a whole. Thank you.
Now, research indicates that Kenya has only realized about 20% of its potential in irrigation. What plans are in place or policies to increase that coverage?
First of all, as a country, we haven't had an irrigation policy since independence. But as we speak now, that is one of my top priorities at the ministry. We have developed an irrigation policy. We are also in the process of presenting to Parliament an irrigation bill. This is the bill that is now going to set the necessary legal framework and institutional framework to enable Kenya now develop its irrigation and water sector effectively. And we believe in good time, Kenya is going to be one of the best irrigated countries on the African continent.
The sector is quite capital intensive. Is there enough money? Does the government allocate enough money for the sector?
Not at all. I think irrigation had not been prioritized at all. This is why we have actually underdeveloped. In terms of our potential, we haven't focused enough here in irrigation. It's actually less than 20% because our capacity is over 1.3 million hectares, but what we have done is way below 400,000. So if we are able to develop that, and there are areas, apart from the Tana Delta region that has the highest potential, we also have areas like in Turkana, the Takwel Gorge, the Pokot area, and also Ukambani. Ukambani has great potential. All we need to do is supply more water, irrigate more land, and we produce more food than we need for this country. It can be done. But as we have said time and again, we have, as Africans, held very many conferences on food security. We were in Maputo years ago when we declared that every African country should dedicate at least 10% of their national budget towards food security. But very few countries have done that. We are pleased that in Kenya, looking at what we were receiving about 10 years ago, we had a budget of just about 4 billion. But when you look at what we are receiving now, we are close to 40 billion now. That is an increase. But what we need actually to be able to attain universal access to water, to be able to ensure that every Kenyan has access to adequate food, which is now a constitutional right under Article 43. We must invest more in the water and agriculture sector. We must dedicate more resources towards food security. We have a financing gap because, as I said, our budget is just about, say, 40 billion. That's just about $400 million. But what we need is actually about 100 million, I mean 100 billion Kenya shillings. And we must also see how we can mobilize resources locally, including making this sector attractive to private sector. We want private sector to invest more in irrigation, in water, in agriculture. This is the way to go. And we're encouraging PPPs. This is one aspect that we want to encourage, even as we're in Galana today. As government, we can only facilitate in terms of providing the model farm here to show that it can be done. In terms of providing the necessary infrastructure, the water. But private sector must now come in after March next year to now take advantage of all this land, and we will facilitate them. This is the way to go.
How about the role of county governments?
County governments, as you know, agriculture is now devolved, so we have to work with county governments. And really what we have is partnership between the national government and the county government. Even when it comes to water, water services are also devolved. But the water resource remains a national resource. You can see that there are various counties that are fighting over water. And if we were to allow the water wars without the national government coming in, without institutions coming in to bridge that, there would be a problem. But we know that we must continue partnering, because ultimately the right to water, the right to adequate food is a constitutional right. And the obligation, it is the fundamental duty of the state. And we only have one state called Kenya, with a head of state called Uhuru Kenyatta. It remains his responsibility and the responsibility of national government working with the county government to ensure that Kenyans have enough food, Kenyans have enough water.
The problem of post-harvest management.
Yes, the post-harvest management has been a problem, not just in this project or other projects in the region, like the Bura, project that we had. We had a bumper harvest, but ended up destroying a whole crop because it had been poorly managed. Aflatoxin set in, so the only thing we could do was dispose of that crop. When there were Kenyans who needed the food in Turkana, in Ukambani. So here in this model farm, everything had been designed to include a mill, to include storage, so that whatever comes from Galana, right from the seed to the unga, would be going direct to the shelf. But also with the millers showing interest in terms of coming in, we will be reviewing whether we actually need a milling plant here or not. If the millers can come and take the maize directly from the farm, then that is one area that we will avoid probably storage problems. But otherwise, this is a self-contained program and project. But apart from this, we know that our cereals board have had limited drying facilities. We know that they have very stringent conditions when it comes to accepting maize from farmers. Moisture content of about 12.5%, less than 13%. But because of limited facilities, many farmers suffer. So I think this is one area as government we need to look at carefully to try and invest more so that we have more dryers, so that the farmer does not lose his crop just because of the hitches in drying. Asante sana. Tumeshukuru. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.